Coming up next, it's the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Wednesday night. Coming off the heels of the big 1,000th episode of WWE Raw in St. Louis. We're going to go back into the history book and move forward on into SummerSlam as all of this month. And actually leading up to SummerSlam, we'll take a look at former SummerSlam events. This week, SummerSlam 1992. We've also got your question in interactive and your inquiry with him and Ask the Booker. Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Wednesday starts right now. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Wednesday night. Damian Nelson sitting here alongside Batman, the Dark Knight. He has risen.
Hey, careful.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
Well, that's
Superstar Billy Graham. That shirt.
Yeah, it is. Billy Graham, the Punisher, superstar. Hey, this is a highly collectible piece of memorabilia here.
Let's go to this week's Interactive, ladies and gentlemen, where you send us a question via our website, pwrshow.com. We select one of them to answer each and every week. And this one comes to us from Charlotte, North Carolina, from a gentleman named Eddie. Eddie says this, and I quote.
Wait, hold on. I found it. Okay, go ahead.
And I quote, "The smart marks need to understand that casual fans don't appreciate the athleticism or longevity of the kind of wrestling match," referencing a matchup between CM Punk.
Hold on a second,
and
I got a
Daniel
question
Bryan.
for you.
I'm reading a question. You can't ask a question without a question.
Regular marks not smart?
Well, maybe Eddie will tell us.
Okay, just curious.
People want to see the start and the end. In this day and age, when MMA and boxing are so popular, the casual fan doesn't want to see a fake fight, wrestling match, when they could see a real one in the form of a boxing match or an MMA fight.
Yeah, one that might last 2 minutes or might go 13 rounds and the wrong guy wins.
Continuing, WWE listens to an audience who will buy their tickets, buy their merchandise, watch their show, and order their pay-per-views, rather than try to please a small minority who streams their pay-per-views and complain about every single thing. Let's just take a look at Impact Wrestling right now. As far as the smart marks are concerned, TNA is putting on the better show. Yet, TNA's ratings have gotten worse than before. That's what happens when you try to please the minority. WWE knows where the money is. They are smart enough to realize that wrestling isn't popular anymore, and that the little Jimmies are the ones who are keeping them alive. The smart marks speak from the heart, but don't realize that WWE is all about business. More of a statement there from Eddie and Charlotte than a question, but one that definitely can spur some conversation, David Hero. This term mark, this term smart mark, this term fan, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of all those terms, but a couple of things in there worth talking about, which is what makes WWE roll. A lot of people complain about John Cena, but without John Cena, things would be pretty rough on the business side of WWE right now.
And that's why John Cena hasn't taken time off, even though they've tried to make CM Punk the second coming of John. They've tried to make CM Punk the Macho Man to Cena's Hogan, and it really hasn't happened yet. But let's go into the TNA Impact Wrestling ratings thing.
They haven't dropped. They haven't gotten lower, aside from the DirecTV thing.
Even if they have, it's the summertime, okay? You don't see the big networks having all their shows on air regular season during the summer. You don't see Modern Family, 2.5 Men.
You watch network TV?
What's that show you like to watch? Golden Girls. You know, their ratings
one that went off the air in 1992?
Definitely drop in the summertime. TNA Impact is doing just fine. They're starting to build their niche audience, which is really what TNA is. Right now, it's a niche audience.
I don't know if you noticed, but over the course of the last 2 weeks, we've seen commercials for TNA Impact on Spike TV on Raw, which is really where the money should be going.
Well, absolutely.
You got to get the word out about your product. And it's what they say. They basically say in those ads, we're not the TNA you've heard about. We're the TNA we're becoming. Really going right at what the fans think or what people have thought about.
When you put the belt on Austin Aries, you got to now tell the world that he's your champ. Otherwise, why put it on him? Mm-hmm. Show him.
Well, you also have to tell the world that that's where Hulk Hogan is, that's where Jeff Hardy is.
Sting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, the comparison to what wrestling fans or the casual fan wants to see. Do they want to see the entertainment, especially the likes of which we saw this past Monday night, or do they want to see those Iron Man great wrestling matchups that blow Twitter up?
You know, I think that what they showed us on Monday night is what the fans are looking for.
A well-rounded entertainment program.
And there was so much content in those 2 hours. I mean, that really was a 3-hour show. They had that much content.
And even with all that content, how could Cody Rhodes and Dolph Ziggler still have been the two standouts of all the people who returned on that show?
But Cody wasn't even on the show on Monday Night Raw.
Did you blink? That's when you disappeared for a few minutes.
No, because he was
via your ear insecurity. Be that as it may, some have said that Raw is just that.
What Cody did on Raw was cool. I'll give him that. But is that how you're going to present a future world champion?
What some have said is that Raw is that entertainment program. SmackDown is that wrestling program. Impact is a bit of a melding of both.
I don't know really if SmackDown is really a wrestling program.
Comparatively speaking,
they have a little more. They have some kabuki stuff on there as well. SmackDown.
I don't
SmackDown.
know this great kabuki as you keep saying.
SmackDown is the B show. It's where these guys are starting to cut their teeth, where they're learning how to be the characters that Vince wants them to be.
Eddie, I would venture to say that a couple of people watching this broadcast may not be in agreement with your comments. However, we do welcome all of your comments. So please feel free to visit us on our website, pwrshow.com. Select the Contact Us link and go ahead and send us an email. You never know, yours might be selected. It's a Wednesday night staple, David Hero, and that is the history book. And that is coming up in just a moment as we look back at SummerSlam 1992. And then we're going to go into Ask the Booker. This is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Wednesday night. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, Primetime Wednesday night. Davey and Nelson here sitting alongside David Octavius Tiberius, the alleged backyard one-time Knockouts Divas Hardcore Hall of Fame champion hero. And it's time to go into this week's history book. Leading up to SummerSlam, the biggest party of the summer, we're going to be taking a look back at SummerSlams for the next several weeks. And we're going to start with the biggest SummerSlam ever. Just by size and scope, it was SummerSlam 1992 from Wembley Stadium over in jolly old England, a WWE pay-per-view event that was actually pre-taped, David Hero, a little known secret.
Well, they had to pre-tape it. It was one to air at 7 o'clock here.
True, it was taped 2 days prior on August 29, 1992, aired on August 31st, 1992, and it was either the second or third largest attended WWE event in history with some 80,000 fans there. And you can't deny that many of those 80,000 fans came for a single matchup, and that was the match that was the main event. It was for the Intercontinental Championship, but that was less important than the two participants in the ring. They were brother-in-laws. They were Bret the Hitman Hart and the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, where Davey Boy captured the Intercontinental Champion over in England.
What a great match that was. I mean, Davey Boy finally hit his stride, became the big star that everyone had thought he could be. Him and Bret Hart, at least 25, 30-minute match.
One of the greatest matches of all time.
It
definitely
was
one of the greatest in SummerSlam
and, you know,
history.
there was emotion because there's family involved.
Diana.
Davey Boy is in front of his, his fellow countrymen, and it's good to see just that right there was a true classic wrestling match between two tremendous athletes.
It was a big event. It was a huge event. Remember Roddy Piper coming out, playing the bagpipes, and The Undertaker coming down on the hearse, and so much happened. In addition to that matchup, it was a WWE Championship match where the Ultimate Warrior challenged the Macho Man Randy Savage. The Warrior did win, but he would do so by countout, not becoming the champion.
Well, because at that time, they weren't sure what Ultimate Warrior they're going to get. I mean, he was Fruit Loopy.
There were two of them?
No, which one mentally was going to show up?
Oh, this was the one that had just come back at WrestleMania 8 a couple of months prior.
But that's why they had to make sure that things were going to be cool with him and want to see which way he was going to go. Because let's not forget, right before that, a couple years ago, he bailed in '91 at SummerSlam after the Match Made in Hell match. So, I mean, you know what? But the fans, they came to see that IC title match.
The WWF Tag Team Championships were on the line as Bo and Blake, the Beverly Brothers, attempted to take the belts away from the natural disasters, earthquake and typhoon. 80,000 people came to see these matches.
No, they didn't come to see that. Let's get that straight. They did not come to see that. You know, the Beverly Brothers, very talented tag team. You know, they wrestled in the AWA as the Destruction Crew, Mean Mike Enos and Wayne the Train Bloom, and then they went into WCW as the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, and they wind up as the Beverly Brothers, and then, of course, eventually becoming managed by Leaping Lanny Poffo. But talk about a tag team that was solid, underutilized, just because that they were in a land of amazing characters.
Who was better, the Beverly Brothers or the fabulous Rougeau brothers?
Oh, the Rougeaus by far.
Really? By far?
Oh my good God, the Rougeaus were fantastic. How could you even ask that question?
It's to spark conversation.
Yeah, that's not conversation. That's just showing ignorance.
Shawn Michaels versus Rick Martel. Stipulation, David Hero. They couldn't do what I want to do to you each and every week, which is punch you right in the face. They couldn't hit each other in the face, thus the match ended in a double countout.
And you can thank Sherry Martel for that. Because
Sensual or
once
sensational?
Again, sensational, scary Sherry Martel, God bless her heart, God rest her soul. She was there with Shawn Michaels, helped him elevate his game. And those two guys, Shawn Michaels, Rick Martel, at that time...
Was he a model at the time?
Yes, he was. Two of the very best in wrestling.
Yes, he was.
You see the big pin, I'm a model?
Yes, I am a model. You know, you talk about Sherry Martel, and, you know, it's, for those of you that don't know, we had the privilege of...
Can you imagine Sherry Martel and Vicky Guerrero?
That's what I was just about to say. I think Vicky's underrated. I know that Sherry Martel was very underrated, especially if you look back at some of the stuff she did and just the Looney Tunes crazy wackiness that she exhibited.
The crazy bumps she would take.
Absolutely, and those splashes off the top rope she would give all the time. In the her final interview that she actually conducted before her untimely passing was with this very broadcast. You can find that on pwrshow.com. SummerSlam 1992, David Hero, was a big event, a huge event. I still have the big VHS of that as well. You know, the old Coliseum home video with the plastic cover. Bobby Heenan and Vince McMahon on commentary, just great stuff from Wembley Stadium. And a lot of people ask for those UK pay-per-views, and as you talked about, this one being pre-taped, those days and ages are gone. They would lose millions if they were to do that.
Huge dollars, absolutely.
But the mega events definitely was headlined by this one, SummerSlam 1992, over at Wembley Stadium. That's this week's history book, ladies and gentlemen. Now, David Hero, let's go to Ask the Booker.
Oh, we're not done yet?
We are not done yet. However, this is the final segment.
Hold on, I got to reset the clock here. Hold on.
You can't follow your sheets, but you can follow a clock.
Absolutely. It's all about the clock.
This question comes to us from Latvia, actually, David. And this
Riga?
No, Latvia, the country. Named
Riga's a city in Latvia.
I've never been there. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know much about geography.
Okay.
Artis is the person sending in this email from Latvia, and he has a question for you.
Artis? Imagine if he is an artist. Artis the artist.
There's no T.
I didn't say there was a T.
You said imagine if he was an artist. I said Artis.
Artis the artist from Riga, Latvia. Go ahead.
Ask the Booker. The question is this, and I quote, "Some time ago, Mr. Hero."
Yes.
Some time ago, Mr. Hero gave TNA 10 months.
Correct. I did.
The time has passed. How has TNA stepped up their game? Pretty easy question.
It's a very simple answer. They changed their creative direction. They are trying to firm up that front office where it's not just a bunch of yes people, where it's people that are now going to deliver content and product and storylines, and if the talent doesn't like it, too bad. And we've seen
Home you go.
We've seen talent that didn't agree how they are
Steiner
now
lately?
gone. No, Scott Steiner, he's been kind of quiet. But I mean, there's an example of a guy that wasn't happy with what he was doing in TNA Impact Wrestling, and they sent him home, and he didn't like it because he wasn't used to that. But TNA Impact Wrestling, they're slowly getting better. They're making the right changes. At first, I wasn't sure if I was a big fan of Austin Aries winning the belt, not because I didn't think he was talented, but because I thought, well, they were going down a certain way with Bobby Roode to make him the guy.
The investment was there.
The huge investment was there. But when you have all those people cheering for Austin Aries, you almost have to give him the belt. And he deserved it. I mean, the guy worked hard. He earned the contract a year ago at Destination X, put his time in, got himself over, improved his work rate, had fantastic matches with guys you didn't think he could have fantastic matches with. And right now he is on top of the TNA Impact Wrestling world as their champion.
Tomorrow night, Chavo Guerrero debuts on Impact Wrestling.
Good for Chavo.
A good get for TNA as well.
He's a super friend, by the way.
Is he?
Of course. But you know what was kind of embarrassing? I mean, I know that we don't have any footage because you kind of confiscated it, but I do have some backup. But some of those guys in St. Louis, they're like, dude, please tell him, leave that shirt alone. Nobody wanted to wear your Nelson family shirt in St. Louis. Sorry, bro.
All that matters is those that matter did wear it. And I'm not going to be like you and sending out little Photoshop pictures of all these people in shirts that they never wore. As long as I know and they know, all is well in the world.
Okay.
TNA Wrestling, live as well. And anything that does work does not happen like that. It is a slow and deliberate crawl, if you will. You have to crawl before you can walk. Rome wasn't built in a day, blah, 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 blah. Everyone's been waiting for that, and everyone talked about, and TNA tried, that big impact moment, that big career-changing moment. Whether it be when Christian came in, Booker T came in, Kurt Angle came in, Hulk Hogan came in, whatever. And none of that has been as impactful as what they have actually done in the last 6 months with the company.
And you know what they've also done very well is they've slowed down Hogan and Bischoff. Because they were just throwing all the old Nitro stuff against the wall, thinking the fans were going to be there for it, and they weren't. Now they kind of pulled Bischoff off of TV. Hogan isn't on, now with his surgery, he's not on right now. But you know what? It's a more of a unit working going forward right now.
And Hogan's only been on when he's needed to be on, which is a distinct difference from initially where, as you said, Hogan was being thrown at us every week along with Eric Bischoff. And where the hell's Garrett Bischoff? Haven't seen him in about a minute either.
That's for a different show. I got a hot scoop on
Hot news with the Z?
Humongous on Garrett Bischoff.
Want to throw a shout out to all the tremendous fans that we met down in St. Louis, whether it be at the party before the show, with some of the other wrestling broadcasters. Justin LeBar was there. Linda Kay was there. Have you found her yet?
You know what? She was supposed to be on the flight back with me.
I kept calling her room in the hotel at the Marriott, and she wouldn't. They couldn't find her. Every
time I walked past her room, there was that "Do Not Disturb" gimmick on the front door, and a purple headband. What does that mean?
I want to thank everybody who showed up on Monday to Raw 1000. We'll be back with you again tomorrow night on Sunday Impact Radio, Saturday night on a brand new edition of PrimeTime. And thank you so much. We'll see you next week.